I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous because, we were setting the bar so high with the results we were coming out with, and you want to be increasing and increasing and increasing. And I thought, how do we do this? And the results that we put out yesterday, we're getting 1 ounce gold over 12, 13 meters. We're getting 30 meters of, a third of an ounce. It's just incredible numbers.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
And welcome. This is Financial Survival Network. I am your host, Kerry Lutz. Major sponsor update from Shawn Khunkhun, CEO of Dolly Varden Silver. I mean, Shawn, you've been on a high for months here with these drill results.
Gary, it actually feels like 4 years, really. It was in year one. I thought, wow, fantastic. And then there was this expectation to try to live up to the first year's results. And then it was almost like relief when year two's results were really good. And then by year three, I thought, there's no way we can keep up on this trajectory, and we did. And then this year, it started in June. And I want to take you back to the drill program. There was 3 goals of the drill program. Goal number 1 was to try to find new veins outside of the resource, right? And when we came out of the gate, I thought, oh, wow, here we are again, right in the beginning innings of the drill program, we were having success. We came up with big numbers at the Moose vein, at the Chance vein. So what we were showing there, Kerry, is Dolly Varden has got this rich history, rich production, richest silver mine in the British Empire, Canada's 3rd largest silver producer. And we were really trying to show that this project could expand into new discoveries. And that's what the June drill results were all about. So I thought, fantastic. And then when we went into this Wolf deposit, this is where we used the directional drilling, and it looks like this deposit's getting wider. It's swelling as we get deeper, and the grades are doubling. We're seeing those 400 gram per ton silver grades go to 5, 6, even a kilo silver over 10 meters. So, we were hitting the new veins, we were expanding Wolf, and then Homestake. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous because, again, we were setting the bar so high with the results we were coming out with, and you want to keep, you want to be increasing and increasing and increasing. And I thought, how do we do this? And then boom, the numbers that we had exceeded my expectations. This is starting to remind me of Newmont's Brucejack mine. They're producing 300,000 ounces of 10-gram gold material just north of our property. And the results that we put out yesterday, we're getting 1 ounce gold over 12, 13 meters. We're getting 30 meters of, a third of an ounce. It's just incredible numbers. And we've really identified now this super high-grade corridor of both silver and now silver gold and gold mineralization.
So going back to Homestake, that was an acquisition that you did several years ago. And at the time, the market was in the doldrums. The price of gold hadn't broken out yet. The price of silver hadn't. And yet there was still synergy there. And the share price held up even after the acquisition, which showed the market was confident. So obviously you never know till you drill there, but it's turning out that this acquisition kind of a masterstroke.
Well, it's interesting. When I first got into Dolly, and this is before I signed up as CEO, I actually called the chairman of what was then called Oren Resources, which is now called Fury Gold Mines. And I called Ivan Bebic, who's now subsequently come on as an advisor to Dolly. And I said, Ivan, is there a deal to be done here? Like, I was an outsider looking in at this area in Northwest BC, and I was looking at this area, looking at Brucejack, SK Creek, and Premier, and I thought, this Dolly Varden, it looks like it could be the next big one in the Golden Triangle. And I thought, well, we don't even need to find it. It's already there. We just need to put it together. We need to marry it together with this Homestake deposit. So I called up Ivan, and it was October 2019, and I said, Ivan, is there a deal to do here? And he goes, yeah, there is. And it took us some time, and it took us, some negotiating. It actually, Carrie, it took 2 years. It took 2 years for us to get to know each other and to advance our businesses, and then we consummated the deal. I want to say we announced it December of 2021. We completed it in the spring of 2022, and I'm very conservative. So the approach I took was, what if it's not there? Because these are resource estimates. Right? These aren't proven and probable reserves that you're mining. These are resource estimates. So I said to myself, let's assume only 25% of it's there. And using that assumption, it was still wildly synergistic. And so here we are a couple years later. And today I now have the confidence, because of the drilling that we've done, we now have the confidence that we believe that both the grade and the continuity is there. And the grades, we think, were understated. We think, and you look at some of the results that we put up from Homestake, they've been spectacular. The best drill results that have come out of the Golden Triangle in 2022 and 2023 have been Dolly Varden. And if you look at the results that were posted in the first half of 2024, Dolly Varden. So 3 years in a row, Dolly Varden has reigned supreme in the Golden Triangle, and it's why the share price for the investors who got behind me on day one, it's why they're up 700%, despite the fact that the majority of the last 5 years, 4.5 years, the majority of that we've spent in a bear market. Up until April of this year, silver was sub $25.
Right. And now it hit 35. Gold just last week hit 2,800, and the economics, and I got to believe the outside interest in what you're doing has got to be through the roof.
Well, listen, it's I can't comment too much on what's happening in the M&A space, but what I can say is I'll cite some other deals that are happening. Whether it's SilverQuest being acquired, Gatos being acquired. Carrie, there's only 13 producing silver companies that make up the industry. And those 13 companies are only valued at $37 billion. And, you look at the interest that's accumulating on U.S. debt every day. In 13 days, it's the equivalent to the entire silver mining industry. Every 13 days, the interest on the debt surpasses the silver mining industry. So when people say, Shawn, where do you think the price of silver is going? Well, I'll answer that question when you guys stop printing, right?
Sure. The sure likelihood of that happening, I wonder if in our lifetimes that'll ever occur, but story for another day. So now you found everything you were hoping for and more in Homestake. What do you do for the upcoming drill program?
So we have a lot of results still to publish from the drilling we've completed. So we completed about 32,000 meters of drilling, and about half of those meters went into the silver-rich Dolly side of the project, and then the other half went into the silver-gold-rich Homestake part of the project. And so we still have a lot of news to come out, number one. Number two, with Carrie, 34 million in the bank, we're in a position, we're armed with next year's budget already in place. And I think that one of the reasons the stock has done pretty good this year, right? It's twice the price it was in January. One of the reasons for that is when positive things occur, when those big discoveries come out of Torbrit or Wolf, or regionally, or Homestake, there's only one way for an investor to get exposure to this name. We're not doing a private placement. We're not doing a financing. You got to come into the open market. And so armed with 34 million in the bank, with drill results pending, with next year's program fully funded, it's continued growth at Dolly Varden. I was doing an investor call this morning, and the investor asked me, Shawn, when are you going into production? And I said, with all due respect, that's the wrong question. Ask me what my strategy is. Ask me what my vision is for the company. And it's been what it was a number of years ago when I started, which is, how big can we get this resource? A resource that was valued at pennies an ounce in the ground 5 years ago, that's now being valued at dollars an ounce in the ground today. How many hundreds of millions of ounces of silver can we calculate against that in situ or enterprise value per ounce in the ground? And today, the market's giving us about a $400 million valuation Canadian. That's 20 times higher from where we started. So that strategy has paid. It's paid to drill. It's paid to acquire an unloved, underappreciated metal that's now starting to get some real price discovery.
Yeah, well, they say in the market, every dog has its day. Not that I would ever view silver as a dog, but obviously the market did for many, many years. But when I bought my first ounce of silver back in 1999, I think I paid somewhere around $5 or $6. Now it's 35, and really resistance kind of gone. Mid 30s, 32, 33 is support for sure. And then we're not even talking about gold. So, the name Dolly Varden Silver doesn't really tell the full story anymore.
No, you're right. And listen, I go back, and I look at where silver was 100 years ago. And, 90% of the demand for silver was jewelry or investment. Today, that industrial side of silver makes up about 55% of the market. So, I think silver in this environment where you've got, the Fed easing, you've got China stimulating, both the investment and growth side of silver's being, that it's a two-headed monster. It's money, but it's also, there is no substitute for it. There's no substitute for it in solar. It's got a big component in EVs. And, the reality is, Kerry, we're not mining more of the stuff. We're losing 2% a year on the production side, and we've lost about 50% compared to where we were a decade ago. So silver production is dropping off. We're down to only producing 800 million ounces a year as an industry, and we're only recycling another 150 on top of that. So it's a sub-billion ounce market that's got real demand, not the reported demand, but the real demand is about 50% higher than that. And that was during the dog days of silver, right? That was when it was in a bear. I think we're on the verge of an exponential move. I'm up here in Canada, so we call these charts hockey stick charts, because it starts here and it goes there. And that's what I think we're on the verge of.
Shawn, I'm just looking at my notes. When we talked last, a few months back, gold was right around 2,400. Silver was approaching $30. It just couldn't get past that $30. It'd go over, and then it immediately would pull back over the next couple of months into the upper 20s. Now, here we are, like I said, $2,800 and $35. And it seems like the party's just getting started.
Yeah. And, we've got a shareholder in Eric Sprott that owns about 10% of the company that was instrumental in leading a couple of financings for us. We raised about $47 million this year, and Eric led both those deals. And Eric talks about wanting to be one of the first people to a party, not feeling uncomfortable being early, but making sure that you're gone before it ends. And so, Eric's got one of his advisors, Bob Thompson at Raymond James, has got something that he refers to as the mining clock. and the start, the clock at 1 o'clock, and the end of the party is about midnight. Bob thinks on the precious metal side, the last time I talked to him, that we're at maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. So we still got a long ways to go. And my experience in these markets is most of the gains occur in the last few hours. And so, I just think we haven't even seen a warm up. Wake me when silver's through 50. I believe in triple digit silver. And again, and that's not a crazy idea when you've got one central bank on a debt servicing, you got a government that's debt servicing at $3 billion a day, the interest. It's insane.
It's nuts. Yeah. Well, hey, in a market where there's a lot of questionable companies out there, Dolly Varden definitely shines through as the real deal. So appreciate you coming on the show as always, Shawn. And you want to visit dollyvardensilver.com, sign up for notifications, because with half the drill results or so still pending, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting results being released in the coming weeks ahead. Ticker symbols in the US, DOLLF, and of course in Canada, DV. Shawn, always a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Gary, thanks for having me on. All the best, especially tonight with the election.
The Financial Survival Network.